behind still eyes, you'll notice a common theme amongst each work of art. The eyes of each subject directly address you. Each figure matches the gaze of its viewer. I chose these works because even though these compositions can't move and they're not animated, they're still speaking to you. Each convey a unique story or feeling. Some are confident, some are even confrontational, but all of them tell important stories of Black history or the Black experience. These works of art are acting as a vessel for these stories. So I hope that people will enjoy the exhibit that I've curated.
Kerry James Marshall does this wonderful technique where he uses different colors of black to paint his figure. Amongst his work, this piece in particular truly speaks to me in both of execution and subject matter. Self-portrait of the artist as a supermodel is a 25 by 25 inch acrylic on collage board. It's interesting seeing Marshall depict himself with a blonde transparent wig and pale red lipstick. I particularly enjoy the background with the repetition of the purple flowers and the lines that resemble a ray of light exuding from the subject. Notice the expression is plain, but what is he saying? Marshall appears to be representing the typical Western beauty standards of what makes a supermodel and criticizes what society would typically define as beautiful. I chose this to show how Kerry James Marshall is unashamed to reveal cultural bias and the exclusion of Black individuals in our world of fashion and beauty. The painting Galen by Jordan Casteel is originally part of a larger show titled Returning the Gaze, which is a collection of 29 of Casteel's portraiture of Black individuals, mainly Black men. It is of people in Casteel's community and tells their unique stories. All of the pieces, including this one, looks you directly in the eye. Notice the interesting choice of color for the subject's skin. He sits alone, naked, in a kitchen. Though this particular style of painting is not my personal preference or choice of aesthetic, I still can appreciate the idea behind Galen too. The interesting color of skin is a play on the phrase people of color and forces the viewer to address their assumptions of a person's body before knowing the individual. Casteel's painting reveals the typical ideas, notions, and stereotypes society places on Black men. It hopes to reveal a different narrative about these people. This photograph is a part of a larger series titled Faces and Phases. Zanele Muholi is a wonderful artist and visual activist from South Africa. I chose this piece in particular for how striking it is. I enjoyed the pattern, graphic background, and how Modise, the person in this photo, is placed front and center. She has such a soft and pleasant expression and beautiful braided hair. She wears a sleeveless top, similar to the background. Her eyes make the viewer want to know more about the story behind them. I felt it important to show Muholi's work because of the larger story behind the collection. Muholi has taken portraits of the LGBTI individuals in their community. They had a desire to tell a larger story than what is typically known of these people who are frequent victims to hate crimes and violence. I want to share the not widely known story of these people and tell their experience of hardship and how they persevere. It is impossible to avoid the still eyes in Faith Ringgold's striking painting titled Number 19 U.S. Postage stamp commemorating the advent of Black Power. There are 100 pairs of eyes staring at you. Notice how the majority are eyes that belong to white faces, yet the pairs that represent Black individuals appears to slash through the crowd, making themselves known. There is also an X being created from the diagonal letters, creating the phrase Black Power. You can clearly see in red writing text that say words like U.S. Postage, airmail, 10 cents in 1967. You may not see, however, the phrase white power, subtly shown in the white lines. I chose this work of art because it is unapologetic in its size and what it represents. It is a part of Ringgold's American People series and sheds light on events during the civil rights movement and reflects on anti-blackness and exclusion in America. I only recently discovered Kehinde Wiley and his work, but this piece in particular is one of my favorites in this exhibit. I love the stunning colors and brilliant background. The woman is holding a wooden staff of sorts and has her hand placed gently on her chest. She is beautiful and shows a gentle demeanor. A viewer may be surprised to read the title, St. John the Baptist in the Wilderness, and not see a man staring back at them. Wiley criticizes the traditional depiction of biblical protagonists, especially those of European Christian values, who typically depict these individuals to resemble that of the white ruling class. I chose this piece because it tells the story of the long misrepresentation of skin color in history. Kara Walker is mostly recognized for her art depicting silhouettes of African Americans. Her work typically challenges me when I see it, simply due to the subject matter not always telling stories that are easy to swallow, but important stories nonetheless. This drawing, titled A Shocking Declaration of Independence, depicts 3 black women, all naked, standing defiantly. I chose this mainly to show that some stories are hard to swallow, but important to tell and show the history of the persecution of black women. Americas is a work a part of a larger series titled White Faces. While Ashton Harris's work challenges its viewer, including myself, just in how bold and raw its figures are and how they are displayed. This triptych shows Harris by himself, then with a woman, and finally she is by herself. They both lack clothing and have stark white face makeup. I chose this piece to shed light on Harris's message, which is the experience of black individuals' exploration of ethnicity, gender, and sexuality. The Burden by Deborah Roberts is a mixed media collage on linen. It shows a child who stands with her hand on her hip in an almost unapologetic fashion. She appears to hold a mask of a white face, and it looks as though she has dropped it from her own face to reveal herself. This piece questions the typical ideas of beauty and race. I chose this in order to shed light on Deborah Roberts' work and the way she challenges how American society treats African American youth today.